Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Day 2 from beautiful Oceanside. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA, Master Spas, deboer, wetsuits, Quintana Roo, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We're in the midst of sending out $5 million in grants, and this month we'll be sending out our 50,000th grant in our 32nd year of Challenged Athletes Foundation. A gentleman who's actually been at our San Diego Triathlon Challenge, Mr. Ben Kanute, 4-time winner of Escape from Alcatraz, 2-time winner here in Oceanside, Olympian. There isn't very much the guy has not done. Ben Kanute, how you doing, bud?
Well, Bob, I got the need for speed.
Yes, you do,
and
baby.
There's no better place in the world to have that need than right outside the Top Gun house. So
I love this jacket. You got the Top Gun jacket.
Yeah.
Got the big Top Gun on the back. I feel the need for speed.
Got that? Yeah, you got to remove before fly. But just might put in as many Top Gun movie line quotes into here as I can sneak in. We'll
possible.
See. Yeah.
Now, this is normally, and we chat a number of times a year, and it's things are, I'm with the same coach, same bike. I'm living in Arizona. Now it's like you've changed everything. This is a year of change. You have, I'm assuming, a new coach. Are you coaching yourself?
Nope, new coach. I don't think I have the chops. Have to turn in my wings. If I was coaching myself, I'd lose the edge. No, I have to have somebody overseeing. I'm working with Neil Henderson now, so
he's your goose.
Yeah, he's my wingman. He's the guy who's standing in the tower, who's drinking the cup of coffee, and I'm flying by, and he's spilling his coffee, and that's twice. So. He's keeping me, making sure I don't buzz the tower, making sure I'm staying in line. Kind of actually reeling me in quite a bit because we've done and did a lot of work the past few years, a lot of volume, a lot of intensity, and now it's a little bit different philosophy, I think, and just we've taken measures to kind of do some testing and know exactly where I'm at, and it's been good. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a refresher. Yes, you do.
And I was just talking to Danielle Lewis. She said her Phantom is 4 pounds lighter than what she was riding before, and she's loving it. For yourself, you're riding Ventum?
Yeah, riding Ventum, loving the bike. It's another change, but one that I'm super excited about. And the crew there, not just is the bike fast, but the people behind the bikes are just awesome people. And, when they were talking about announcing, I didn't just want to stand in front of the bike and say that, I'm excited to ride. I wanted to do something kind of cool and different, and they jumped on board, and that was the video that you saw announcing with the American flag and just embracing kind of my brand and my personality and putting it together with theirs. So that was a lot of fun.
So when we've got Ironman world champions, Patrick Lange, Gustav Iden, Christian Blumenfeld, Lionel Sanders is here. It's a good field, and and you've won this race a couple times.
Yeah, and I think it's up to us. We got to keep up foreign relations. Might have to go inverted once or twice. It's
communicating. Communicating.
I won't do it. This is a family-friendly show, so I won't take that quote too far. But this is always. The start of the season has happened. It's getting earlier every year, but this really kicks off, I think, the air quotes, real start of the season. They brought the best of the best in every year, and I heard about it, so I wanted to be here. And there's no points for second place, so everybody's just going to be putting everything down on the table, and it's a great way to just, I think, get a checkpoint and see where exactly I'm at, because training's great, testing's great, but you don't know how that applies or how that fits until you actually race, and you see how you compare to everybody else and how it translates to the execution time.
Will this season be primarily Ironman focused? What will you be focusing on throughout the year?
Yeah, so far my schedule as it stands is Oceanside and then Ironman Texas.
Yes.
I'm deciding between 70.3 Boulder and Eagle Man.
Okay.
Kind of that's similar timing.
Yeah.
And Boulder purely because, I moved just north of there now. So that's kind of a convenient home race, I guess. And then looking at Ironman Frankfurt and then hopefully both world champs. So I got my 70.3 slot, but in pursuit of kind of I kind of call it the unofficial Triple Crown, where it's the Pro Series and both World Championships.
Yes.
And that kind of puts together, racing at the top level of both middle and long distance, as well as the consistency of just racing that series well throughout the entire year.
So you've been doing this since you were a kid, and it's funny, we talk about the Norwegian method and all that different type of thing, and I look back at the Triathlon Maniacs and go, we had a pretty good method. Kevin McDowell's still racing, Ben Kanute still racing, Lucas Versbeekis was the 5th kid to break the 4-minute mile. I mean, what were you guys doing back then? The fact that you and Kevin are still racing at a high level, obviously the roots were set well.
Yeah, wandering around with a blindfold in a room, just kind of figuring out what we were doing. I think that was kind of the dawn. The parents were really the ones trying to figure it out, and I mean, nobody had really done a kids triathlon team successfully. There were some, but it's a hard sport to get a team together and keep going. But what I always go back to is it didn't really matter. It wasn't the training. There was no, I don't think, real scientific way of training there, because we had all different methodologies growing up, from kind of like Eastern European way to club swimming type to age group triathlon, or semi-professional coaching and stuff like that. So we had all different philosophies. But I think the true thing is as kids, we had a lot of fun together, and we pushed each other, and we were just kind of a competitive group. And, that was when in the Chicagoland area, triathlon was booming.
It really was.
It was just kind of right place, right time, right group of people having fun. And that team's still going on strong. And I think they just kind of kept, with all the kids triathlon teams, like the most important thing is like, you can trick kids into working hard. They're always going to kind of race and do that sort of thing. And we always wanted to work hard, but it's all about, having fun, because you wouldn't continue on with triathlon and do any of this crazy stuff unless you were really enjoying it. And that, I think, is why, like myself, Kevin's racing here this weekend.
Yeah, I know.
You even have kind of from that same area, not the same team, but Seth Ryder too.
Yes.
Like his
dad was a pro.
Team. Yeah, and it's there's a few of us that have just kind of continued on with it, but I think it's because we fell in love with it when we were kids, and helps to be a little good at it as well. But overall, whenever I go back and I kind of think about, well, what was it? It was just, the community and, traveling to the races, strategize, just kind of fell in love with it like that.
And I think it was 2015 in Chicago, was it World Champs? I think it was World Champs.
Grand Final.
Yeah, Grand Final and hometown. And here's Ben Kanute, probably knowing someone who's going to run him down, but going for it on a bike, right? You come off the bike first?
One of the first, me, I want to say
Mario
it was Andrea
Mola?
Salvesberg and like Colucci or something like that. Yeah. This is the time when somebody would be yelling at me in the Top Gun moving, saying, "What were you doing?" And
what were you doing?
Say, that's some of the gutsiest flying I've ever seen.
Mav.
But yeah, no, that was my card to play. And that whole year and during that stage, I think I was always running super well in practice, and I worked a lot on it there, but it only clicked a couple times. Not quite in that race. It was respectable, but it wasn't quite where I maybe wanted to be, but still kind of got me that top 20 grand final, which was great, first American there. But I think it really kind of clicked in Yokohama, and that was kind of in that whole string, probably one of my better 10Ks just off the bike, with everything, with the fitness and kind of showing really what I had done, because otherwise I think I was just kind of off the money.
And did you think that those type of races led to you making the team in 16?
That was the catalyst. I think I had one race kind of building into that in Stockholm, because just a month or two prior, I raced the test event in Rio, and it was just awful. I went backwards in the swim. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and it didn't work out at all. I don't know, maybe we didn't get the taper right, that sort of thing, and thought that my chances were kind of done. But then raced pretty well in Stockholm, got some decent points, because that was when there was no discretionary picks. It was based on ranking of points. And then did that flyer, the grand final, and that gave me some points up on everybody else, and went into that 2016 knowing, hey, if I could really hit Yokohama. Because Greg Billington and Joe Malloy had both kind of sealed the deal with first and second, so it was a race for third, and I had to outrun. Actually, it was Kevin, Jared Shoemaker, and Eric Lagerstrom.
Yes,
a few of those guys, and did it in the way that I think nobody thought I would, and ran my way onto the team. So that I think is probably what was most special about that whole kind of era of triathlon for me.
Well, and also, I mean, it's funny because even though you've been in the sport for a while, on the world scene, people didn't know you that well. And when you went off the front in Chicago and then in Chattanooga, right?
Yep.
Chattanooga is when you gained a lot of followers, a lot of people who became Ben Kanute fans or Tom Cruise fans because you were like, hey, dude, I'm going for it here.
Yeah, and that was, traditionally my weapon has always been the swim and the bike.
Yes.
And then hold on for the run. I think now in more recent times I'm more well-rounded overall, but back then it was, hey, if I want to win world championships, take advantage of people not knowing who the heck I am and do something a little risky. And it was kind of that aligning of the stars where people didn't really know. They thought I would kind of walk the half marathon then, and nobody else wanted to pull Javi along on the bike and do all the work to try and catch me. So that gave me the opportunity to ride super strong and kind of figure out what it's like to lead a world championship, because half marathon at that point, that was only my third one. I had no idea what I was doing. I look back on that and I'm like, oh man, I really I learned a lot, I think, in that.
That was your other movie, Risky Business.
Yeah.
That's when you were just going for it in that one.
Oh yeah, that was that was a little bit of seeing the aircraft carrier there, and it's in triple, and I needed a wingman to kind of guide me in there. But no, I managed it. I mean, I ran strong, but I mean, what are you going to do? You were outgunned.
But he ran.
Now we're getting into the second movie here, where it's the fifth gen fighters versus the F-14 Tomcat. But that's going deep.
Have you done a photo yet in front of the Top Gun house on the motorcycle?
My kids did. I put Caden on top and Briella, so they love that. I might have a photo from back in the day, a little bit of.
You might have to do your shot from the back with the motorcycle. That
I might need a little sticker. Just put a Ventum sticker. That might not go over well with some of the other ones on there, but yeah.
So obviously so successful, winning Escape from Alcatraz. When we look at your portfolio, Escape from Alcatraz, when you get that thing 4 times, and you're talking about, I think Andy possibly get 6 or something like that, something in that ballpark. But winning that race 4 times, and that race has all these cool elements to it, right? It's got, you're jumping off the boat, and there's not a freaking buoy out there. You just got a sight on the land. Then the bike ride, but the run, the sand ladder, all that type of stuff. What is it about that event that works so well for you?
I think it's all of those elements, and it's one of the oldest races left in the U.S., and it still has that element of why triathlon started, where it's not this set distance. And don't get me wrong, Ironman and all of this stuff is great, where it's got to be exactly 2.4 miles, 112, all of this, because everybody wants to measure themselves on the course and all that. But Alcatraz is not quite about the time, and it's more about testing yourself and how far you can push and against other people. And I just like the idea of, hey, that island out there, we're swimming to shore, and then for the bike, we're gonna bike up and over these, just whatever's in between here, and take a lap around the park and come back. And then the run, well, we're gonna run up and over to the end of that beach and back. Like, it doesn't matter what's in between. We're not making the easiest course. In fact, we're trying to make it as hard as possible. So that, to me, just kind of gets to the root of why triathlon started, which is really these guys going around trying to figure out what is the hardest thing we could do right now to test ourselves against each other. And I feel like that really kind of embodies that that sentiment.
Being a kid who grew up with this, obviously Kona was a huge draw, right? You knew that one day you would be there. This year you got to do that, right? What was that experience like? When I look at it, I go 47-minute swim, perfect. 408 bike. Of course, Sam went like 357, 358, but I think he obviously took something out of his body. 408 is a hell of a bike split. You didn't have the run you wanted to have. But what was the experience like?
Yeah, the experience is great. I mean, Kona is Kona for a reason.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about it. It's not, you don't talk about it as the Ironman World Champs. You talk about it as Kona. And the reason behind it is because of the history that's there. And you can go stand on this corner or that mile marker and say, this is where, the race was won in 89, 95,
Exactly.
2016, whatever year you want. You can go back and find the exact portion of the course where the decisive moment happened. And there's kind of a mythical kind of sense to it where, this is just, there's something about this place that because of the history, it's having the Masters at Augusta.
Right.
Like
No question.
It's hard to take that race away from there. So it's cool to go back and to actually race it. It was a bit surreal to actually be doing it. And up until about that 80, 90 mile mark. I mean, I think I felt so good going up the turn to Javi, and then on the way down, things just started to unravel. And by 90 miles, I just wasn't myself, which was kind of the theme for the entire year. I get 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through the bike, and it just seems like the wheels fell off. And then, that's a really long marathon when you aren't
when you're not
good.
having your day. Yeah.
It was, I got to know probably every crack of that marathon course really pretty well from how long I spent out there. Probably, Patrick's won it a few times and has raced out there a bunch, but I don't know if he's looked at that course like I have out there.
You had a lot more time to sightsee out there.
Yeah, and I think that was just the turning point too, in knowing that I needed something different, because the one thing that Jim and I always got right was the World Championships.
Yes.
And when we didn't hit that, and it just was kind of a sign for me that I need some sort of refresher in my career for this last stage of it. And that's when I kind of flipped everything upside down, and feels like I'm brand new to the sport almost a little bit.
Well, and think about it. We were interviewing Patrick Lange yesterday, and the same thing. He made a coaching change, and just it's a mindset, right? It changes your mindset from this is what we always do to I wonder what we're doing tomorrow. It makes it fresh and new.
And something I was listening to Yele either on his podcast or somebody else's just talk about, because he made the same type of change.
He did. To the same coach.
But
Ben,
what struck me was he was saying how with his old coach, he was comparing himself every time, because you do similar workouts. So you compare yourself to previous years, and then you have all those years with the coach. I worked with Jim for close to 10 years. It was 8 years. And, I would compare current Ben with, 2017, 2018, like doing the same workouts and trying to figure out, am I feeling the same?
Right.
And now I think with new workouts, having a lot of ways to measure, and then also, doing the testing like physiologically to give yourself that benchmark, that helps me, because now I know, okay, it doesn't matter how I feel necessarily as much. Like that takes some of the subjectivity out of it, where I think a lot of, like, especially in kind of the later years, it was a lot of subjective stuff. And, that can play with you a little bit too, because your mind plays tricks on you where you think, oh, like when I was running next to Christian in 2022 in St. George, oh, that was easy. That was great. When no, it wasn't. Like it wasn't easy like doing that. So you forget about it, and that it's good, because you probably wouldn't get back on the start line if you remembered every ounce of pain. But yeah, it's hard to then look at certain workouts without really meticulous notes of exactly how you were feeling, and just the hours you do. It's tough to keep track of that sometimes.
The move to Boulder, how has that been?
It's been awesome. So we're up in Loveland area, and so we're north of Longmont, so it's probably about 40 minutes or so to Boulder. So we're like close enough to the bubble to have all of the resources that are great for my career, but far enough away that we have our space. And honestly, the town is incredible. Like we stumbled upon it, and we just found a place that really suits us, and we've been loving it so far.
Good for you.
It's been awesome. Like, Phoenix was super great for us, and it was always kind of like good enough, but with how many people are moving there and all the stuff going on, it got super busy to ride your bike.
I was going to say, similar to San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. In San Diego, you can ride into the mountains, and you get away from people. Phoenix, there's no real escape. You're kind of on roads two places. So like to Bartlett Lake, for example, where it's just people drive their RVs, their boats, and it's just
scary.
They have the car show,
Yes.
Barrett Jackson, twice a year now.
Yeah.
So people take their motorcycles and cars and want to be speed racer.
Yes.
And they're driving on that road because it's kind of twisty, turny, up and down. So
Right.
it was just kind of time. And I think that's another thing, is refreshing the place that you train. Not everybody has that luxury, but for me, it's been awesome. I could ride into the mountains. I see two cars and like I'm in the middle, and I thought I'd miss the ocean a ton, and I do, but the mountains have been pretty cool to be able to go into and have kind of in our backyard.
And the cool thing is, one, being at altitude, but it's not like every time out you have to climb. There's some flat areas
exactly,
too,
yeah,
which you need. You can't just climb every day.
Yeah, I can breathe here. I don't need that oxygen mask on to go out and feel okay. Like going up the stairs, I don't get out of breath. So no, it's been awesome. And we'll I mean, Phoenix and Oceanside too, like it's always great to go back and visit, and we'll always have great memories there, but it's fun to have this new place with a lot of friends and fun people to hang out with, and just it's a really good place to do triathlon and to train, and then also for families as well. And we went from mostly stone backyard in Phoenix, where it's part of the year is way too hot to use, to like grassy areas. So the dog's loving it too, and everybody's running around barefoot. So we're living our best lives now.
Good. Well, Maverick, thank you so much for taking time, and I look forward. I know you love Oceanside, right? Your house is right next door, where you grew up right here, and
exactly. Yeah. Well, thanks, Bob. Don't lose that love and feeling.
I won't lose that love and feeling. Appreciate it. Ben Kanute has been our guest again. Day 2, Breakfast with Bob. Hold on, we will be right back.